Welcome to Legitimate Matters. I'm your host, William Parris. I'm so excited to have my guest here today, Jackie Wayans, talk show host and radio host, and author of the book, Don't Give Up and Win, A Survivor's Guide to Renewing Virginity. Welcome to the show, Jackie.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
I am so glad. This is a very interesting topic because as I was reading through your book, I found some information that's almost like an oxymoron, if you would. But your book really focuses on key tips to help an individual during this challenging journey, which can sometimes be very isolating. Abstinence in itself is very isolating. So you stated in your book, intimacy starts before even holding hands or that first kiss. And it's not sex.
Right.
How do you describe intimacy?
Well, first let me say, clearly there are a lot of books out there about the issue of abstinence and celibacy, but mine is for the people who are doing it the second time around. Divorce, separation, being a widow. Many people don't talk to us because they feel like, you should know what to do, you should know how to handle yourself, and because of that, we don't get the support that we need to walk out the journey successfully. And so that's why it's renewed virginity. And so intimacy, it's so beautiful because it's that place of just being able to breathe with someone in a space and feel comfortable, feel understood. It is the place where communication happens first, and you almost have this understanding of your thoughts and your energy. And so something as precious as holding hands now becomes escalated because it's connected to so many deeper emotions than just a physical kind of lusty reaction.
So you can actually have intimacy when you find a safe place.
I love that, safe place.
A safe place with someone who you believe is special in your life, and then you transition into things that become gradually more intimate.
Right. I mean, many of us might remember that blockbuster movie, Avatar, and one of the key lines in that was, "I see you." Right? And the word intimacy, into me see, is that opportunity to pull back the veil of who you really are and let someone fall in love with not the counterfeit or not the presentation,
the representative,
but the representative, right?
The representative.
You want them to fall in love with the real you.
Absolutely. Now, you were married.
Yes.
And how long were you married?
So we were together for 10 years and then another 7 years separated.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a considerable amount of time. And I understand you have 3 beautiful children.
Yes, they're young adults now.
Wow,
So I'm very proud of them.
That's, and that's always a good thing because even when a relationship dissolves, it's always great to know that, something really came out of it that was amazing.
Yes.
But then after this, all of these years in a relationship, and you finally one morning wake up and find yourself single, divorced. What did you feel like, or what were those emotions initially after that reality check?
Yeah, I still remember. I was very bitter. I was jaded, actually.
Wow.
Because I was a virgin when I got married. So I just was under the illusion that everything was going to work out smoothly and beautifully.
This was forever.
And that it was going to be forever.
Sure.
And again, we were both extremely young, and we both had a part to play with why things didn't work. But I did. I around this time where you have the weather starting to warm and the birds chirping and people going on picnics, and you're walking and you're going, oh, they're so inconsiderate. Who wants to see them kissing? You know, go somewhere.
Get a room.
Exactly, get a room. And that kind of jaded
Right.
bitterness was kind of building up. And I
right.
didn't even realize it until a friend invited me to the wedding, their wedding. And I said no. I said no because I had so come into a place where I disbelieved in the institution.
Wow.
And they checked
That's
me.
bitter.
They checked me on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, so it's one thing to say, okay, you know, my marriage is ended and I'm single, but it's something completely different to say now that I am single, I am going to make a commitment to be abstinent.
Right.
How did you even get there? What was that defining moment when you said, this is going to be my new journey?
Actually, that was fairly easy. For me, that was an immediate decision. Yes, because I was a believer, and I do believe that the guidelines that God has put for us to save ourselves from marriage is for our benefit, right? I don't look at it as a law or as a should do, but it is for our protection. But because I know that, yes, I was a virgin when I got married, but we danced all the way around that, right? And did as much as we could do without actually going there. And I realized that I cheated myself by doing that, and I wasn't going to do that to myself again.
Now, you also talked about in your book being a born-again virgin.
Yes.
Well, that's where the dichotomy takes place. It reminds me of a scripture when Nicodemus was like, well, how can I go back into my womb and be into my mother's womb and be birthed again?
And Jesus' response there, you know, so this book is for everyone, but I write it through the lens of Christianity. And so what Jesus says, listen, this is not flesh here. This is spirit.
Okay.
And what a lot of us have done is we've accepted that for our salvation, but we don't realize that the same power exists for our life.
Wow.
Right? And so what the Lord is often asking us to do is to renew our minds. And once you get renewal in the mind, the healing, all the other places start to flow.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to find out more about this journey of celibacy with Jackie Wayans. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with this very deep topic.
It's okay to be scared. You don't have to be so strong.
Strength is not optional. This is my mother, my purpose. Real muscle is lifting her spirits between bedpans and bad news from doctors that doubt her strength. Strength is buried in bills, managing meds, and swallowing those moments of, Mom, it's me, your daughter. Remember? My strength is super, but I'm still human, right?
Look who's here. There she is. Thanks for your patience.
How you feel?
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 1-877-333-5885.
To help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. I mean, maybe she could help me make her lunch, but the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners.
Welcome back to Legitimate Matters. This is your host, William Parris, and I'm here with my guest, Jackie Wayans, the author of the book, Don't Give Up and Win. And Jackie was telling us about your decision to live your life in abstinence after your marriage. And you were kind of content with that. You were saying, okay, I can do this. But interestingly enough, your friends or people that you were surrounded by thought that there was something wrong with you.
Well, you know, it's interesting. It's almost like a catch-22 situation where on the one hand, it's being preached from the pulpit, or you're being taught by your family that this is the best route to go. But then when you actually start walking it out, it's like people go into conniptions when they find out that it's been, you know, at that time, the first reaction came about 6 months in. And I was actually just starting to feel normal again. I was just starting to get my paces. So they were like, oh my gosh, 6 months. Whoa. I'm like,
How could you?
What do what do you expect me to do? And then it can go to the extreme of, well, of course, you need to just suck it up and live with this because it's your fault anyway, right? Because,
So they blamed you.
but sure, you didn't clean enough, or you didn't cook enough, or you weren't sexual enough, or so you have to understand who you are
Wow.
and why you've taken on this task for yourself. So that's why I really say in the book, the first thing you need to do is commit to the walk yourself and be very clear on why you've made that commitment.
So these were actual naysayers, okay? And unfortunately, the naysayers are sometimes the people that you least expect, and those that you think are going to rally around you and be there to offer you support, but not so.
Listen, naysayers aren't evil. They're not really haters. They might come off that way.
I call them haters.
They might come off that way, but what it is it's kind of like the crab in the
Right.
barrel thing. There's
Okay.
a level of success that you say, I want this for myself, and I
Right.
see why it's important. And they take it as, oh, so you're saying what I'm doing is wrong?
Oh.
That's not what you're saying.
So they're reversing it?
They're really
Internalized.
looking at it and saying, oh, so who are you to think that you can do that, right? Or, are you saying that I'm wrong for what I'm doing? And they're, instead of them understanding that it's a decision that
Wow.
you have made for yourself as the best possible road for you, they're looking at it as an assault on their own belief system or their inability to carry it out for themselves.
You also mentioned in your book, and I don't know if this is really touching on the same thing, but the religious rally group. Is
Right.
that the same
They're
thing?
not naysayers, but they're a part of the group that we have to be very careful to prepare ourselves for
Okay.
because we don't expect it. What happens is sometimes the people who are the hardest on us and who are the most legal, when I say legal is, I come to you and I say, I'm really having a hard time this month and I feel weak or I feel whatever, and they're like, they shoot you that scripture and they say, suck it up, and who are you to think you're not the only person in the world who's suffering with this or whatever. And because of the way it's said, the coldness, the harshness, it could be a source of discouragement. But what I actually suggest that you do with those comments is that you take those scriptures, you take what they said, not how they said it. You detach it from the person and you take a look at it and you say, okay, what is there in this that I can actually learn from and use it to better myself? And then you pray for them in terms of their ability to communicate with others so that you don't get bitter yourself and that you can move forward.
Wow, I can really appreciate that because even in my own personal Christian walk, I was raised Christian and I'm single. I've been
And happily so.
and happily so.
Yes.
And I have certainly over the years gotten very strange looks when people have asked me, oh, are you married? And I was in ministry, and a pastor once said to me, well, people have a problem with ministers that are not married. And it was so discouraging to me. And I'm glad that you shared what you did because it encourages me, Jackie, because I have to honestly admit that I myself have been bitter over the things that have been said to me. And I agree that I don't think that it was meant to be malicious, but I don't think that people realize the extent to which that can really, really, really hurt. So now, let's take this a little further. I'm kind of wondering because certainly the male viewers out there are saying 6 months or a year. And as a matter of fact, for you, it's been, is it 15 years?
16
It's
since I wrote the book,
16
yeah.
years. 16 years. Well, I can tell you, most men would be self-medicating. So now, is that, from your perspective, do you see that as something that is, because it's been preached as, masturbation I'm talking about, has been preached as a sin. So is that part of the abstinence journey that you have to eliminate that as well, or?
So I call it the M word.
Okay, the
and
M word.
There isn't a radio show or a television show that I've been on that this hasn't come up. So I think it's very important to address it, and I do talk about it in the book. And I think one of the first things you need to be very honest with yourself with is the fact that it is sexual activity.
I see.
Right? And any type of sexual activity, once you feed it, even if you feed it a nugget, right? It only increases. It is a hungry beast. It does not get satiated by these little teasers here or there. And then it's also, what are you setting your mind on?
I see,
right?
I see.
So if you're setting your mind on how to please yourself, right, and it's still sexual activity, you're really not using that time to prepare yourself, to heal yourself, to get yourself in a position where you can actually be a lover of someone else.
Wow.
Okay,
wow.
so the reasons for that, let's move beyond, you know, is it a sin or is it not sin, but is it benefiting your bottom line to successfully stay abstinent? The more you feed it, the more that desire is actually going to grow inside of you, and you will eventually succumb to actually having sex with someone.
It's all or nothing. Anyway,
there you go.
well, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to finish this wonderful conversation with Jackie Wayans, William Parris, Legitimate Matters. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jordan Peele. I'm usually trying way too hard to be funny. Well, right now I'm going to be completely serious with you. Online bullying is a toxic side effect of modern technology. No one's immune to it. Not you, not me, nobody. But there's a way we can fix it. This emoji in the symbol section of your phone's emoji keyboard. Use it when you see bullying online to say, I see what you're doing, not cool, definitely not funny. And I know what funny is. I coined the phrase wordness to the turdness. So join me and become a witness. When you see bullying online, use this emoji to do something. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org.
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. Your whole world changes in an instant. That's what happened to me the day my mother had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
Hey, we tried all right.
Don't tell me to calm down. I hate that.
Stop acting like an animal. You're in public.
I will knock you into next week. Stop it. No, I'm not gonna stop it. That's it. We are leaving
like an
right
animal.
now. We are leaving right now. Get up. Stand up. I said we're leaving.
Welcome back to Legitimate Matters. This is your host, William Parris. I'm here talking with my guest, Jackie Wayans, author of Don't Give Up and Win. And she's sharing her journey of abstinence. So, Jackie, we were talking about a few things, quite an interesting combination of subjects. But my next question would be, does the experience of abstinence differ between men and women?
Right, right. That's a good question, because some people think it differs between men and women, from person to person, like your sexual journey is different than my sexual journey. First, I would like to say that the power of God is the same for all of us.
Right.
It's whether or not we put our trust in that power, right?
Right.
But let's talk realistically here from a physiological place.
Yes.
Yes, we and I'm not talking about libido, I'm talking about your natural rhythm, the cycle of which your body moves.
Okay.
And so for both men and women, that cycle exists, but it's a little accelerated for men. So men, it's more of a weekly fulfillment.
Okay.
So that's why there's nocturnal dreams that happen and natural emissions that happen. And for women, we don't have that, but we have our regular cycle. And so what women can look forward to is either a few days before or after your cycle.
Right.
You've got these, raging hormones, and a lot of that is, you feel that you want to pull out your hair, basically, especially if you're walking this walk. But if you know what those days are, right, you know it's coming, you can prepare yourself for it. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't put yourself in a negative space. It is a natural part of being a human being on the planet.
Right.
It's how you handle that. So if I wake up and I had a dream that was particularly romantic or whatever, now if I stay and I linger in bed and I keep mulling over that, well, one thing is going to lead to the other. So you have to get up, get your day started, keep it moving, whether you want to or not. And so there are things that we have to be prepared so that we're not shocked. Oh my gosh, this is happening to me. Why? Why is it happening to me? Well, you're a human being. That's a natural, healthy response to being a healthy human being, right? So just know that. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't beat yourself up about it, but have a plan in place so that you can move forward.
Well, it seems like this is so easily explained. It seems like such a no-brainer, but in reality, it's quite difficult. Yeah. Why is it so difficult?
Well, it's twofold. I have a chapter in the book called When You Cry Alone, and I don't want to misguide anyone. There are definitely days that I cry alone, right? You cry in the shower, you cry in bed, whatever. And so that's a reality. I think what happens is when we were talking about naysayers in the religious rally, if you did not walk it out yourself, it's going to be very hard for you to effectively guide someone else who's walking through it. And that's true for anything. So if I run across someone who gave me those harsh words, like I said, I need to now listen for what's true for me, but walk away not judging them, right? Because when I think of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is the love chapter, it talks about how we should be communicating with each other and be in relationship with each other. And as a Christian, it just simply means that you are a follower of Jesus Christ. Religion are these staunch laws and rules that keep you locked. And you know, Jesus spoke against that. He talked about whitewashed walls and that, you know, you're putting heavy weights on other people. Now, the scripture that talks about reserving yourself for marriage is not a heavy weight, but it's how religion now communicates that to you. The why do you do it? The how do you do it successfully? Those things tend to get missed and slip through the cracks, and young people and older people tend to hear laws. And the difficulty for my group is that we get put into either going to singles group or going to marriage group, and we feel like we don't fit in either space or place. And even in society, it's hard for people to know where we belong. So you have to know that for yourself.
Well, it kind of goes back to even what you were talking about is earlier in the conversation that, well, there's the singles group or there's that group because there's something wrong with you and you need kind of a support group.
I was actually told that if a person is not married for many, many years, that they believe that there was something spiritually wrong with them.
Oh, well, I get that. I have gotten that. Imagine me being, you know, a single man, you know, for so many years. And, you know, I remember, you know, going places and someone say, "So you're married yet?" And I was like, "No, I'm not married." And their head sort of tilts to the side, and I could feel it. But you said so.
Singleness is a ministry. If you look at the scriptures, our prophets, our teachers, they were single for the most part. It is a beautiful space that we don't nurture in our society, and so we have people rushing into marriage for the wrong reasons and a very unhealthy society.
Very good point.
Yeah.
A very, very good point. And I think another good point is the fact that Jesus was at odds with the religious leaders who were determined to place very restricted laws on the people who were illiterate and couldn't read the scriptures for themselves. So they were really at a disadvantage. And really it was a form of oppression in my personal opinion, and that's my way of understanding it. But tell me, you know, are there certain tips that you would recommend for a person that might be newly single and they're just now determining whether or not this is a good decision for them?
Right. I often say you want to make sure that you guard your heart, that you guard your mind, that you guard the gates of your body. So your eyes, your ears, your mouth, right? That makes sense, right? So there's nothing wrong with romance movies and love stories, but I can't watch them because one thing will lead to another. I will get depressed before anything else happens, right? And that depression will open the door for other emotions to come up.
That makes sense.
So I can watch things like Hallmark movies, you know, kind of thing, but real.
They're light.
Yeah, lightweight. I know that R&B music for me, I'm a lover of music, so I get moved by music. So I cannot I can listen to all kinds of music, but not R&B music,
Right.
because it will put me in that space.
It's
that
very
place.
sensual.
And you've got to know who you are. I can listen to reggae music. That doesn't bother me at all.
I see.
But
Okay.
someone else, I know they can't listen to it because their journey when they were in the reggae world, they were doing certain things to that reggae music. So it just takes them back. So it's not to say, don't listen to this or don't listen to that. Know yourself. What is your trigger? Because we all have triggers that will set us off. So it might be actually certain foods that you
Wow.
eat, right? I have some contributors to the book. Dr. Jacqueline Wayans talks about how we might want to eat so that we're not putting in foods that stimulate. And I'm not even talking about aphrodisiacs, but certain foods will actually increase our desires. So guard your gates, your eyes, your ears, your mouth.
Wonderful. Well, Jackie, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And for all of my viewers, if you're considering this big decision to live your life of abstinence, certainly Don't Give Up and Win by Jackie Wayans might be a very, very good place to begin. Thank you so much for watching. This is William Parris with Legitimate Matters. We'll see you next time. Oh, excuse me. You caught me taking a sip in between my sets. Oh, you didn't know? I'm William Parris. I'm the host on Legitimate Matters. I have to start all over again. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I have to do it again. I'm going to be like Vita Vita Benjamin.
Yes. And everybody upstairs is upset because
Okay. I can keep going?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Oh. One more time. Oh, excuse me. One more time. Last time, I promise. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. You caught me taking sips in between sets. Oh, you didn't know? I'm William Parris, the talk show host on Legitimate Matters. Thank you for watching Legitimate Matters. This is your host, William Parris. I want to thank my guest, Jackie Wayans, TV and radio host and the author of Don't Give Up and Win, A Survivor's Guide to Renewed Virginity, for being a guest on my show this week. And for more information on Legitimate Matters, you've got to follow me on Facebook.com/Legitimate Matters. Or check out my YouTube channel, Legitimate Matters. For questions and comments, shoot me that email at wparris@legitimatematters.com. We'll see you next week.